Hi, my name is Todd Gagoric. I'm a solutions architect with Amazon Web Services, and today I'd like to talk to you about a technology called Direct Connect. It's our ability to allow you to essentially carve off a private section of AWS and provision network connectivity from your on-premise facility to the Direct Connect through the Direct Connect capability into the Amazon environment. So let's take a quick drawing here and start with drawing your data center. This is your DC. Sorry, I have to be all orthogonal because it looks better. We're going to connect from your data center to the Amazon cloud. Now there is, I should point out, a simpler way to do this over the internet, and that's just using traditional VPN technology. So, and you may be connecting to us today like that, or have some familiarity with that, but essentially it is just nothing more than over the internet itself, providing a connection to the AWS cloud using a VPN circuit, which, very traditional type of connectivity, which exposes resources within AWS to your data center, right? And it does that over a very secure tunnel over the public internet. That would terminate over here into typically something we call a virtual private cloud, a VPC. For more information on VPC, I would encourage you to check out our blog. We have an entire entry there that will explain in some detail what a virtual private cloud is. But for this discussion, just know that it's essentially an isolation container for resources that you would deploy into your AWS environment. That's one way to do it, and it's by far the simplest way. You can set that up in literally a matter of minutes. No external party required, no provisioning. You're just able to turn it on and make it happen. But there is a way to do it that provides us with a little bit more bandwidth. In fact, I would argue significant more bandwidth in increments of 10 gigabits per second BPS or 1 gigabit per second increments, right? And that's what Direct Connect is, what provides that capability. Direct Connect, or DX for short. Just remember DX and you'll find the right thing. So DX allows us to essentially say, I want to connect to the AWS environment, but I want to do it through a leased line or private line, or basically a dedicated line that I can control the bandwidth and latency to some degree. Obviously, geographic considerations apply, but I can control the bandwidth to what we call a Direct Connect partner, a DX partner. And what those are third-party companies such as Equinix, CoreSite, and others that have essentially facilities that are closely co-located to Amazon facilities around the country. And those facilities are where you would provision a typical lease line, such as an MPLS circuit, endpoint, a typical dedicated lease line, typical WAN technologies that you would use to connect to their facility. Within their facility, they would punch down and cross-connect a connection into the AWS cloud directly, right? This then provides you a very, very isolated tunnel to us that doesn't touch the public internet, and it goes right into the AWS cloud. And again, we can terminate that into one or more VPCs by using 801.q trunking, which is a very familiar terminology for anyone if you're familiar with VLAN technology. Trunking technology is been around quite a while. So we can, for instance, provision a VLAN on our end in your data center that connects to a VLAN number that's associated on the AWS end, and that becomes then a dedicated network pipe directly to that virtual private cloud. And you can do that multiple times across that single connection, right? We do recommend, of course, if you're doing anything enterprise level, to do redundant connections. That's probably something that is worth considering. But in any case, the idea is that providing this connectivity directly to AWS exposes a lot of interesting scenarios, not the least of which is this is an entirely private construct. Nothing that you do in AWS here is exposed to the internet, right? It is completely contained between your on-premise facility and the AWS environment, so that anything that touched the internet would have to come out of your facility. And I think a very important point from isolation and control. A lot of organizations like to look at that kind of thing as one design pattern of many. If you'd like more information on Direct Connect, I would encourage you to go to our website, Amazon Web Services, and look up the Direct Connect service that is outlined on there and documented. There's also a blog, as I mentioned, entry on virtual private cloud, and look at that as well. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it, and have a good day.